Thanks for making a date. Welcome back. Now, shareholders of the defunct Royal Bank have finally broken their silence on what actually led to the bank's collapse. In a statement, they argued that the bank's situation was rather due to non-payment of government-related contracts as well as the indebtedness of commodity trading firm Finatrade Group. They are, however, challenging the Bank of Ghana over claims that Royal Bank misreported its accounts.
According to shareholders of Royal Bank, the case of misreporting can only be made because the Bank of Ghana itself got it wrong on how it did its calculations. Royal argues its financial position was made worse not necessarily because of bad management, but rather how news of UT and Capital Bank collapse as well as putting Unibank and administration led to some panic withdrawals and closure of a lot of accounts at its end. The bank also maintains that it had taken adequate steps to recapitalize by appointing transaction advisors and engaging PricewaterhouseCoopers to conduct due diligence on itself to make way for investors to come in or merge with another bank. Royal in the same statement said only if the Bank of Ghana as well as the Finance Ministry had given it a 300 million cedi dispensation for it to carry out its recapitalization and government paying all debts due them, then the bank wouldn't have gone down. Royal was one of the 5 banks that the central bank recently reviewed their licenses and added its good assets to the consolidated bank.
Meanwhile, the second deputy governor of the central bank, Elsie Awazi, has urged all other financial institutions to take lessons from the recent collapse of some local banks and comply with banking regulations. Speaking at the Festival of Ideas conference, Madam Elsie Awazi noted that non-compliance exposes companies to high risks, including arbitrations and jail sentences.
Compliance to any of these requirements I have just outlined is essential to and inseparable from business success. It is an integral part of good corporate governance and enterprise risk management. These are essential building blocks to a strong, viable, and sustainable business of any size. The consequences of poor corporate compliance include a myriad of risks, including legal risks, operational risks, financial risks, reputational risks, among others. Non-compliance with statutory, regulatory, contractual obligations could lead to formal sanctions and other enforcement actions and could end up in costly litigation or arbitration. Non-compliance with corporate policies also lead to operational inefficiencies and losses. And failure to adhere to ethical standards would also lead to reputational risks, which sometimes could also involve customers boycotting your products or services. We have seen that happen in other countries where, for example, in the skincare industry, customers are particular about not using products that have been tested on animals. For example, there was a period in the UK where you couldn't wear a fur coat on the streets without fear of being lynched by animal rights activists. So that took a toll on businesses involved in these sectors. You may have heard about the garments industry, which has been punished by customers for clothes they manufactured in countries elsewhere where the cost of labor was too low or where people were made to work under inhuman conditions. We've heard about our own industry, our cocoa industry here that came under attack for child labor practices. So these are very important issues that need to be borne in mind.
All right, so we'll be throwing some more perspectives on the reasons for shareholders of Royal Bank who have accused the Bank of Ghana of not helping the bank enough to recapitalize shortly. Now, managers of Odutobri Rural Bank have revealed plans to develop a mobile application to enable credit transfer not restricted to accounts in its outfit only, but among other rural banks as well. This will also enable transfer of funds from the rural bank to a commercial bank on the same platform. Chief Executive Siaka Baba Ahmed says the initiative will strengthen the capital base of the bank through deposits and enhance funds mobilization. Prince Appiah has details in this report.
During the 2017 financial year, deposits increased by 22.26%. Investment in treasury bills and other short-term securities also recorded an increase of 23.4%. The bank during the period extended total loans and overdraft facilities of 31,179,000 Ghana cedis to customers, a 25.48% increase from previous year. The 2017 annual report revealed the increases were due to intensified mobilization coupled with growing public confidence in the bank's operations. To sustain the gains, CEO Mr. Siaka Ahmed has been speaking to Law Business about the innovations to achieve this.
We are looking at developing a mobile app that will help you to transfer money from one account to another in our bank and outside our bank, so that when you are even with us, you can transfer money to any universal bank, any rural bank in Ghana, provided they will be on the same platform. So that's what we want to do now. We are also looking at one-stop shop. So we are looking at doing insurance, bank assurance. We look at child education, investment for our customers. At the same time, we look at funeral prime, look at where you are. The reason is that, you see, I was talking about one-stop shop. Somebody will come to your bank, you want an insurance policy. You have to move money from the bank to do insurance. But when you have that one there, the money will remain with us, so that you only transfer from one account to the other. And the issue of mobile, now mobile banking is the order of the day. So if you don't give your clients the opportunity to do that, they also move to other banks who are doing those offering those services.
Nana Fusu Kwajiabri II is Omahene of Jakobu traditional area. He has been asking persons he described as detractors of the bank to channel their efforts in helping to build the rural bank.
About 35 years, the bank in
Often, we hear some people I call detractors want to bring down the bank because the manager is strict with financial practices and will not allow any misappropriation of funds. Some people, especially those owing the bank, and some bankers themselves want to tarnish the image of the manager and the bank. This is very serious because even the big commercial banks are collapsing, and we have managed this bank for close to 35 years. So why bring it down? I've always pleaded with them to be careful with their utterances and actions. Meanwhile, the bank is waiting for approval from the Bank of Ghana to construct other banks and branches outside the Shanti region. Prince Appiah reporting.
All right, so we'll definitely return to Prince Appiah shortly for some updates on a development story. But before then, Deputy Minister of Finance Kweku Kwarteng has given a firm assurance that government has no plans of introducing additional tax on mobile money transactions in the 2019 budget. According to him, Momo has become the government's best bet for achieving financial inclusion. He spoke with Joy Business at an MTN Momo stakeholder workshop, which was organized in Accra, on the topic digitizing payments in Ghana, the implications of additional taxes on mobile money transactions.
It's early days yet. Most of the measures started beginning of August, and so we are monitoring, but we hope they will go well and give us the revenue we need.
Just a quick backtrack because of TV, and for you, the understanding is that so we should not anticipate that mobile money, we are going to tax mobile money right now.
Well, what I can say is that if we wanted to tax mobile money, we would have introduced those in the media review. So that we didn't introduce to suggest to you that it is not a decision government has made. But we are continuing to monitor the economy, and if going forward, government finds it necessary at all to consider any taxation in the mobile money space, we will do so taking into account the many concerns that have been shared here, and more importantly, taking into account government's own policy to promote a cashless society.
Now, still on tax issues, tax, accounting transactions and advisory services firm Ernst & Young Global Limited has held its 8th Meet the Regulator series with a keen interest on major challenges facing the petroleum sector, including collection and local content issues. A staff of the Petroleum Unit of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Isaac Krenzel, outlined a new model introduced by the GRA to improve revenue collection by oil marketing companies. Charles Aite has more in this report.
Revenue mobilization in the downstream petroleum sector is to be given a new lease of life. The Petroleum Unit and Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, is adopting a new model of tax collection from oil marketing companies, OMCs. This new model requires all OMCs to post bonds and bank guarantees as security for the recovery of taxes in case they default. Isaac Krenzel is with the Petroleum Unit and Customs Division of the GRA.
The way forward now is to move from chasing them. They are all on bonding system, bank guarantees. So now when we go into debt, you just fall onto your bond and then take our money so that we don't chase you. Yes. Now the shortcut is that once you come to us on the bonding system, when you are owing us, you just notify the insurance companies, then you call for the bond of the amount. Because they all bond the amount that they do business with.
On his part, Director of Special Services at the Petroleum Commission, Kweku Boatin, revealed that new regulations are being introduced in the upstream sector to ensure efficiency in the value chain of the sector.
Measures are being taken to address this challenge. One, in order for the Ghanaian community to participate, we have this policy of unbundling of contracts, where a typical contract of, say, $50 million, $100 million, we try to break this contract into technically and commercially feasible units. So a contract of $50 million, you can have about $5 million, $2 million, or $3 million being decomposed from the bigger contracts, so that a Ghanaian company can successfully bid and win those contracts. We also monitor their procurement plans and their contract award process.
Meanwhile, conveyor of the breakfast meeting, Ernst & Young, say the meeting with the Petroleum Commission, National Petroleum Authority, NPA, and the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, was to furnish the auditing firm with enough information on challenges faced the petroleum sector.
So far, it's very clear that Ernst & Young is very much interested in the entire development, as they also rake in the specific additions in terms of the challenges and the solutions that they could proffer in regard in the future. For Joy Business, I'm Charles Aite reporting.
The Ministry of Finance has launched an SDG budget baseline report to track the allocation and spending on policy objectives matching the various SDG targets. Finance Minister Ken Furiata, who launched the report, said this will accelerate the government's drive towards investments, which forms key component of government's beyond aid agenda. Fauzia to Adam has more.
The SDG baseline report in Ghana is the second to be developed in the world after Mexico. Finance Minister Ken Furiata noted the report, which is aligned to the 2018 budget, is comprehensive and targets everybody in government's development agenda.
As Ghana's Central Finance Agency, the Ministry of Finance, we have a responsibility of ensuring that our fourfold functions, which is to mobilize, allocate, disperse, and account for funds, are all Agenda 2030 compliant. We must ensure that the key outputs of the budget statement and economic policy are all linked to the SDG targets and indicators. In essence, this will mean that the implementation of national budget activities is invariably linked to the implementation of SDG targets and indicators. To ensure we remain on target, we've developed the Ghana SDGs budget report to show how we are tracking financing for the SDGs in tandem with the tenets of the AAAA. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered to launch our very first SDG budget baseline report.
He mentioned that government will launch the Accra Investment SDG Fair in September to provide opportunities for local and global partnerships on financing the SDGs in Ghana.
We are looking forward to creating something new. I think we are developing the concept. It's almost here, but it's going to be exciting because we are trying to get SDG as just part of our way of life, and it's not some imported thing, so get schools who are turning plastic waste into something that is useful, the society being aware of sanitation, the care we need for creating jobs, and how we spend money to respect that. So I think that would strengthen and inculcate more the values of SDG in our way of living.
Hopefully, this baseline report will present a new opportunity to hold cross-sectorial and multinational country discussions for long-lasting solutions to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
Let's cross over to Kumasi again. Now, the task force set up by the Trade Ministry following the impasse between Nigerian and Ghanaian traders at the Swami Magazine market is visiting shops of foreigners within the enclave, demanding and checking the relevant documents to do business. Prince Appiah has been observing these developments. He's joining me live on phone from Kumasi for some more updates. Prince, what can you report today?
Ima, I can report that the task force set up by the Trade Ministry comprised of persons from the National Security, BNI, the Immigration Service, the Ghana Standards Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority, the police, TEF, and other security agencies, and members of the Nigerian Traders Association, and then GUTA. They are all part of the task force. So what is happening is that this group are going to various shops in the Swami Magazine enclave, and when they get to your shop, they demand for certain documents. Now, the GIPC is part of the task force. They will ask you of certain certification to as an investor. And then the Immigration Service will ask you of your passport, the residential permit, and then the other business entity, the GRA, for instance, is asking you of your tax certificate, whether you regulations, and then the other security officials are also asking other questions. And some at a point, the Ghana Standard Authority, some of the items of what they are saying is that they are going to test for quality to ensure that these products meet the internationally required standards of selling them in the country. So these are some of the things that are happening.
Now, yesterday there was a lockup, and the local traders reinforced this lockup by putting around or putting on more padlocks. Now, do I get the impression that the shops are now opened as the process of, confirming documents go on?
Okay, so most of these shops were opened because after engagement with the task force and some of the Nigerian officials who, because the task force came to the region last night, they managed to meet some of the Nigerian people in their shops this morning to do business. But when the task force went out today, those who couldn't meet these requirements were given warning, given a little bit of space.
Now, Prince, what is the security situation there like?
Well, currently the Nigerians are not so much confident in doing business so are harboring some fear because of how things are going. Even though the task force is in town to ensure that the necessary documentations are provided and peace prevail to us.
Is it going to have a toll? Okay. Is it going to have a toll on business activities today?
Yeah, definitely. It has already having some effect on business activities because almost most of the Nigerian shops, I must say that I visited, most of the major attendants are not there. And the information had already gotten out there that their shops have been closed. So customers that are supposed to come to these shops to buy their things are not coming there. It is affecting the suppliers of these Nigerian shops are also complaining that they are unable to do their supplies because they are being cut off because of this impasse. Right. Most of the traders are afraid to open their shops. Suppliers are unable to supply, and it is affecting the trade.
Many thanks for your time, Prince Apia, my colleague, reporting from the Swami Magazine Hub, where the task force set in place to monitor and check documents of foreign retailers, especially Nigerian traders, on the market, is currently undertaking its work. Away from that, greenhouse farming is increasingly becoming popular as more farmers are adopting the technique that allows better crop management all year-round production. But its technological nature often poses challenges to many farmers. This is where the tech shelter comes in. In this edition of KIC Profile, we get up close with members of the team who will be sharing the kind of support they intend to provide to greenhouse farmers.
You wouldn't have had a better team than this team to solve the problem. So at Tech Shelter, we got you covered. Thank you.
Tech Shelter, arguably the favorites in this challenge. The team wowed the ideation team with its impressive presentations during the two previous competitive pitches.
I like this greenhouse technology. It's innovative, it's nice.
But it's not just their presentations that are remarkable. They have a great agribusiness concept, one that seeks to support greenhouse farmers and make their operations more efficient.
We have observed that even though the greenhouse has been structured to have a defined output, these output targets were not naturally met. What it meant was that a greenhouse designed to produce an output of 3,000 tons per growing cycle ends up hitting halfway, 1,500 and even less. So when we observe the processes, we observe some inefficiencies in that line and realize that these inefficiencies could be further reduced with technology.
When greenhouse farmers become client of Tech Shelter, they will get access to specialized services and products called Green Genie.
I look at how we could use data in the greenhouse to make sure that clients who want to go into greenhouse farm don't repeat same mistakes without knowing the right crops to grow, knowing when to grow and how to grow.
The time of doing it is so critical. The time must be prompt. It must be done here and now and quickly. Any further delay could result in a complete loss of your entire produce. You're new to greenhouse farming, come hear it for yourself, what you need to get. When you come on board, you also have the opportunity of getting plant protocols, cropping protocols and all that. And then we have tools to help you reduce your inefficiencies, controlling irrigation, controlling temperature, controlling humidity automatically. Is it as soon as I saved, can you see the fans?
Yeah.
So automatically as soon as I save, the fans are on. Now, if the system detects that the temperatures are supposed to see, right away the misting, that means the humidity is less. So it's going to activate misting alone to make sure that humidity increases.
For this team, the greenhouse sector is a lucrative space worth exploring.
We have proposed several other concepts, trying to do something about post-harvest losses and some other stuff. But when we did a little brainstorming, we realized that what we had picked on was somewhat unique space. It was a niche that was not being attempted by a lot of people. So we thought, yes, what are the real challenges there? And since I had prior knowledge in this space, we discussed the issues. And my team felt that was a good idea to buy into.
Tech Shelter is the only team in the finals with the highest number of people. The team of 5 consists of engineers, IT specialists, and a greenhouse expert.
I met Bob during our ice-breaking session, and we spoke. But then, on a market visit tour, that was when I got to know the other guys as Ken. So Bob actually connected with Ken. He brought him on board, And Bob also brought Jeffrey, who is an engineer as well. And finally, we got to meet Paul on our team. I think that was the last day of our ice-breaking session of creating team.
We have been exposed to the realities on the ground. We've had to see farmers in the farming environment. We've seen processes in the environment and observe the entire processes and see that, there's a problem to be solved. And because the Agritech Challenge is focused on providing a tech solution to ride on these existing problems, we had to pick out something that is relevant in the space.
At the final pitch in October, judges will definitely be expecting the very best of presentations from Team Tech Shelter, and they say they will not disappoint.
We are ready.
We're more than ready.
We are already winners, right?
Yeah, I think I told you about what we'll do when we win. And because we're going to win, so it's not something we're doubting. The real deal is that we don't just want to pass this test of being the champions of the challenge. We want to get out there into the field and answer the question of the greenhouse farmer. That man must be happy. That owner must see produce. It is only then you will be more than excited.
We'll bring you another edition of the KIC Agritech Challenge on JoyNews Prime. And on that note, we end this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apraji. We are free. Have a good afternoon.